Hello everyone, my name is Basil and this week I'm going to talk to you about how to use GitFlow. GitFlow is a very nice workflow which you can integrate into your Git process, and it has amazing benefits if you're able to completely integrate it into your development cycle. Let's have a look at how it works. I will be giving in a few examples as well, and we'll take it from there. I'll be taking you through a couple of slides. You can have a look at where I will explain the details of how we implement GitFlow and what are the different methods involved in a successful implementation. So if we look at what exactly is GitFlow, GitFlow is nothing but a process and you need to integrate it with your already existing Git. So this video does not explain how to use Git exactly. If you are unfamiliar with Git, I would suggest that you go and have a look at other videos of how to implement Git and the basic functionality before you come back and have a look at this video. So GitFlow is essentially a very disciplined way of carrying out software development, and if used correctly, there are several other tools that can be used along with GitFlow to make your development cycle a breeze. If you implement GitFlow, it makes it very easy for you to go into agile development, which I will explain with a few case studies as well as to how it can be done. Again, I'd like to thank Atlassian for SourceTree, which is a free software which I would be using over here to explain Git and the Git workflow or GitFlow, and also for the amazing graphics that they have provided on their website, which are the same tools I have used in my presentation as well. So what is at the core of GitFlow? GitFlow is nothing but two essential branches, which is the develop branch and the master branch. Now, as you can see, all your developers will always be working on the development branch, and when you are ready to do a release candidate, that is when you would pull out of the development branch and then push it into the master branch. Now you must be asking, what is the need for a development branch as well as a master branch and two branches as is? The simplest way that I can put it is, if you have a code integration server somewhere in between, then you can track the changes on the development branch, and if you do that, as and when you push to the development branch, you can push out for a beta build, and this is done by the code integration server, and what we use over here is a tool called Jenkins. Now Jenkins can also monitor the master branch, and as and when you have a release candidate ready that's fully ready to be deployed, you can ask Jenkins to track the master branch, and the master branch can be pushed out into a live environment. I'll explain more of this as we go into the case studies and the examples that are there at the very end. So how do you make your developers to or how do you train your developers or tell them to only push onto the development branch? Essentially what happens is that you always pull from the development branch. That is, every day my developers come in, they are asked to pull from the development branch and have an updated repository on their systems. Now when they are ready to go in for a feature, you create a new feature, you do your coding over there, and once you're done with your coding, you push it back into the development branch. Now my devs are not allowed to push into the development branch. It is essentially the team lead that monitors all the features. So there is a code review that happens over there, and once the code review is completed is when it is pushed into the develop branch. So with the develop branch, I'm ensuring that all my code review takes place, and the code review is done by the team leads or other people who are involved in managing the project. Essentially, my structure is such that I have one team lead and I have around 3 or 4 developers under each team lead. Now, depending on the structure of your company, you can even have engineers do your release cycles. So what a release essentially does is, you pull from the development branch, you make the necessary changes, and then you push it back into the master branch. So what happens over there is that any last minute changes such as configuration of your database or in case of iOS development, you have a plist. In case of Android development, you have your last minute XML inputs. You can do all of that in the release candidate branch, and you can push it out into master. We have one more branch over here, which is known as a maintenance or a hotfix branch. So what happens is, supposing a very critical bug shows up at the very last minute and you do not have enough time to push it into, take it from the master to develop into feature, and then go through the entire process once again. So what you can do over there is pull out from the master, you create a hotfix branch, you make the necessary changes, and the minute you push it back, it is pushed into the development branch as well as into the master branch. So for the sake of this tutorial, I have created a user named Tom in my stash, and Tom is a developer who has access only to read from the development branch. He does not have permission to write into it. I am going to have access into the development branch as well as the master branch, which is the read-write access, and I essentially fall under the integrator group. And Tom is a person who is in the development group. So I'm sorry, there is a mention of a name Mary, which I'm not going to be using over here. For the purpose of this demo, again, this system, which the iMac which I'm using, is going to be simulating the user Tom, and I have my MacBook as well, onto which I would be checking into Git as well as into Stash. Now, it is not necessary that you need to have Stash to have as your Git server. You may even use GitHub. We use Stash internally because I like to have my Git server within my premises. So let's quickly have a look at how this process is going to work. I'll just exit my Keynote, and I'm going to load up SourceTree. Now, SourceTree is the tool provided by Atlassian. So I'm going to come on to my Stash web. You can see that I have two Stash instances within the company. That's the reason is that I like to keep my mobile development separate and my web development repository separate. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to log in as Tom. Okay, so once I log in as Tom, I can see that I have my repository over here. All I'm going to do is click, and I'm going to clone it into SourceTree. I'm going to launch application. That's perfectly fine. And you need to put in your password. And I'm going to set my destination as my desktop. YouTube demo, and I'm going to clone it. And there you go. With this, I have my YouTube folder over here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just close all of this, and I'm going to come in over here, and I'm going to write a very simple file, and I'm going to use TextMate for this. Okay, so what generally happens over here is that we have a Scrum meetings at the start of the day, where I have instructed Tom to create 2 or 3 functions into having this process to work. So the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to initialize GitFlow, and it says that all the default branches are there, so I just click OK. Okay, so I did run into a little bit of an issue there. The issue was that my initial commit wasn't carried out, so I just went ahead and created a file called the Demotxt. I've initialized this folder as Git, and once I clicked onto my GitFlow, I was able to get my develop and my master branches, and I've added this file to the index, and I'm tracking all changes to it. And once that was done, I pushed it onto the Stash as well. So now let's say my developer Tom was asked to do a very simple change or build a new feature onto this file, where for the sake of simplicity, let's say I've asked him to carry out a simple addition, multiplication, a division, and a subtraction in code, or simply just to indicate that via text. I will just open up my demo.txt, and I will tell and before I do this, I'm supposed to create a new feature over here. So what I can do is I can just click on GitFlow, start a new feature, and I'm going to call this addition. and you can see that a new feature called addition has started up. So once I come back into this file, I will just write 1 plus 1 is equal to 2, and that's going to be my new feature. I'm just going to save this, and once I come back into Git, you will see that there is an uncommitted change, and I can see that this is the new feature. These lines have been added in. So I'm just going to stage the file, and once this is done, I'm going to push this onto the stash. Now you need to instruct your developers not to push into the development branch, because they can do it locally on their machine, but if they try to write it into stash or GitHub, it wouldn't work, because you're going to set up permissions over there saying that no developers are allowed to push it into stash or GitHub or necessarily into the development branch unless a complete code review has been done on this. Now this is a very good way to maintain your quality in your code. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to push out my feature, and I click OK. Now I'm going to log in into the stash instance as a Basil, and so essentially what I'm going to do is I'm going to check the quality of the code, and if everything is okay, I'm going to approve it and then push it onto the development branch. So if I look at my branches, I can see that there's a feature addition being added, and there you go, there it is. And I can see what is the change also that has been done. Oops, there seems to be an error over there. Let me just quickly have a look at the code. So it says 1 plus 1 is equal to 2, that's fine. I think I failed to commit it, yes. So I'm going to say that simple addition is carried out. I'm going to commit this, and then I'm going to push my feature, and you can see that it's there over here. So I'm going to push out my feature, and there you go. So Tom has pushed out a simple addition feature which was required in code. And if I come into my commits over here, I come into my branches, I can see that there is a feature addition added over there. Just quickly have a look at it. Simple addition carried out. Okay, so since Tom does not have the access to it, I'm just okay, that's the pull request. So once Tom is done with the code, he needs to create a pull request as well. So I'm going to log in as Tom, and his password. So now Tom has completed the feature and he's pushed it. Now he needs to place a request to have it merged into the development branch. So what he has to do is just come into pull request, and you're going to say select a branch, that is addition, and the destination is going to be the develop, and you can just create a pull request. So once I log out and I log back into my account, and this would also be sent out as an email to me, so I will come to know that someone's actually asking for a pull request as well. And I'm going to click over here, and on the pull request, I can see that Tom has asked for a code to be merged. I can review it. I can see what is the difference over here. I can see that he's added a line of code, and if everything's fine, I'm just going to approve it. I'm going to approve it, and then I'm going to give the merge. So you can see that it's going to say that the feature branch is going to be merged into the development branch. And now once that is done, now your development branch is updated, and the next day that the Tom is going to come back into work, he's going to find out that his code has been approved and is a part of the development branch. Now your code integration server is also going to pull up the changes that is made on the development branch, and it is going to deploy it on a beta server as well. So now let's say that the next day I've asked Tom to create a simple subtraction in the Scrum meeting, and he's decided to go ahead with that feature. So Tom comes into his workspace and he's going to do a simple pull, And if he does pull from stash, he's gonna come to his main branch, which is his development branch. I'm gonna click OK. This seems to be some uncommitted change. I'm gonna just stage this file. I'm gonna come into my development branch. Oops. Okay, and I'm going to come into my development branch, and I'm going to pull all the changes. And there we go. You can see that the feature has been added, and essentially what can happen over here is that you can delete this branch once you have done the integration, or it is the integration manager, once he checks in with the code and he approves it, he can just simply delete it as well. So now Tom is going to create a new feature over here. So I'm going to just come back into GitFlow, create new feature, and I'm going to call this subtraction, and that's done. Now in the subtraction, he's going to do as 1 minus 1. Let's say he makes a mistake over here, so let me just do it this way. Subtraction 1 minus 1, instead of 0 he's given it as 1, and let's say he makes, okay, so let's say he's made his change over there. Now once I come back into my subtraction, I can see that he's done that, and he's going to commit that, and he says I'm going to add this to the index. Subtraction feature carried out. Okay, and I'm going to commit this, and I'm going to push this feature out for further review. So that's been done. Now he needs to come back, and he's going to log in, and he needs to create a pull request. Pull request, create a pull request, select a branch, that is subtraction, and to push it into develop, and create a pull request. So that's been done. Now he's going to ask his integration manager, who is me, to check on his code and push it back into the development branch. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to log in. And I can see that there's a pull request for me. I'm going to click over there, and I can see that there's a difference, and I can see that subtract has been, oh, and I have noticed an error here. So what I'm going to do is, this is wrong. You will need to fix this. And create another pull request. And now this comment goes on to his email as well. So he's going to come to know that his feature has been declined. And that's what I've done. So now once he gets his email, he is going to go back into his feature branch, that is subtraction, and he's going to see that there's a code over there. And he's going to say, okay, so that's the error. He's going to save it. And once I refresh over here, that's uncommitted changes. He has made the right change over there, and he can simply add this to the index and push it once again. There you go, and push out the subtraction feature once again and go back and create another pull request. So I'm going to log in once again. So it's going to create another pull request, create a pull request, and select the branch that is subtraction. And I need to push it into the development branch and create a pull request. Now once this is done, it should show up on my account. I'm going to log in. Oh, sorry. And there is a pull request over there. And this time I can just review the code and I can see that this time it's been corrected. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to approve it and I'm going to merge it. You can select that option to delete the branch as well, but I can also do it over here. So I can come into the addition branch, which has already been merged. And there should be an option to delete it out somewhere. You can find that option at any point of time. So once that has been done, now my dev is going to come back in on the very next day, and he's going to see that on the development branch, it's going to be all ready for him to move forward. So I'm going to change out the branch, and you can see that fixed code error and subtraction feature carried out. That has already been added to the code. There you go, and that's been done. So this is the way you would work with GitFlow. Now, what are the real advantages over here? So we have a Jenkins server set up, which is a continuous integration server that monitors not only the master branch, but also the development branch. So every time a change is made onto the development branch, we compile the code and then we upload it. So how does this work when you look at in terms of in terms of different development scenarios? Now, this is my team structure. It's not necessary that you should have this. So you can modify the process as per how you would like your team to function. I have essentially one team lead and several other developers working under them. The developers don't have write access into the development branch. It's only the team lead that has access into the development branch. Depending on how you carry out your software development, you can have your team lead also have access to your master branch. If you have a separate team that takes care of the release candidate software releases, then you need not give the master access, the write access to your team lead. You can give it to your RC release team. So moving forward, this is what I was talking about. The changes can be monitored on the development branch as well as the master branch. And Jenkins can monitor both the branches separately and carry out necessary instructions on both of them. So let's say if you're looking at iOS development. So all my developers develop features and they push it out. My team leads review the code and then merge it into the development branch. The minute Jenkins detects a change on the development branch, it compiles the code and pushes it onto test flight. So all my clients receive an update by the end of the day where they can monitor the changes and see the progress of the development and come back to us if they are looking for any change. Now, once we are ready to do the release candidate, we simply create a release candidate branch so that clones the development branch out. You can make any changes to the plist and the name of the app, and you can have keywords to indicate that it's an RC in the build information. And once you close the RC branch or the release branch, it pushes not only to the developer but also to the master. Now Jenkins can pick it up from the master, compile it, and keep your IPF file ready for upload onto your desktop. That is in case of iOS. In case of web, we have the monitoring of the development branch, wherein if any changes are made into the development branch, it is pushed onto a local server which sits in our intranet, where we can check any changes that are made and do the basic testing. Once the client is okay with all the changes, then we create a release branch, and the code is not only pushed to the local server but also into the live deployment server. That's how it works for web. Now, in case of Android, it's very similar to iOS, and all the process remains the same. I hope you like this tutorial. and I hope I was able to solve answer most of your questions with regards to GitFlow. If you have any comments, please place it in the comments below and I'll respond to you. If you have any further questions, please feel free to visit our website or write back to us. And until next time, thank you.